History often tells us that Africa's greatness began with Egypt. But what if I told you that south of the Nile, another kingdom rose to power, one that conquered Egypt, defied Rome, and was ruled by fierce women who commanded armies? This is the story of the Nubian kingdom of Kush and its warrior queens, a civilization that proves Africa's history is far richer, deeper, and more powerful than most people ever learned in school. Origins: along the Nile. The story begins along the Nile River, in the region we call Nubia, stretching across modern-day Sudan and southern Egypt. Long before the world knew of empires like Rome or Greece, Nubia was already thriving. The land was blessed with gold mines, fertile banks, and access to trade routes connecting Central Africa to the Mediterranean. To outsiders, Nubia was the land of gold. To its own people, it was the birthplace of a proud culture with traditions, art, and gods that both rivaled and intertwined with those of ancient Egypt. Nubia gave rise to the kingdom of Kush, a power that would rise and fall across centuries, always bouncing back stronger, shaping history in ways that are still being uncovered today. The birth of Kushite power. By 2000 BCE, Nubia had developed its own rulers, warriors, and wealth. Though Egypt often tried to dominate Nubia, the Kushites never disappeared. They built cities, temples, and fortresses along the Nile, creating a kingdom that was uniquely their own. Kush's first great capital was Kerma, a city with massive mud brick structures called defufas, some of the largest of their kind in the ancient world. Kerma's rulers controlled trade in ivory, ebony, gold, and slaves, making them wealthy and powerful. For centuries, Egypt and Kush clashed, sometimes enemies, sometimes allies. But while Egypt often overshadowed Nubia in history books, Kush quietly gathered strength, waiting for its moment to rise. The Kushite conquest of Egypt. That moment came in the 8th century BCE, when the kingdom of Kush struck back. Under King Paye, the Kushites invaded Egypt and established the 25th dynasty, known today as the Black Pharaohs. For nearly a century, Nubian pharaohs ruled Egypt from the city of Napata, presenting themselves as the true heirs of Egypt's gods. They restored temples, revived traditions, and declared themselves the defenders of Ma'at, the cosmic order. Imagine the symbolism. A kingdom once dismissed as a southern land now sat upon the throne of Egypt itself. For the first and only time in history, a Nubian dynasty ruled the Nile from top to bottom. Though the Assyrians eventually pushed them out, Kush proved a powerful truth. Africa's civilizations were not just subjects of Egypt. They could be conquerors in their own right. Meroe, the city of queens. After retreating from Egypt, the Kushite capital moved further south to Meroe, a city that flourished for nearly 600 years. Meroe was unlike anything in the ancient world. Its skyline was filled with hundreds of pyramids, smaller than those of Giza but steeper and uniquely Kushite in style. Iron smelting furnaces roared in the city, earning Meroe the name, the Birmingham of Africa. Its wealth came not just from gold, but from control of trade routes stretching deep into Africa. But what truly set Meroe apart was its rulers. For here, power was not only in the hands of kings, it was also held by women, the legendary Kandakes, or warrior queens of Kush. The Kandakes, warrior queens of Kush. The title Kandake, sometimes spelled Candace, was used for Kushite queens or queen mothers. But don't think of them as ceremonial figures. These women were rulers, generals, and diplomats, equal to, and sometimes more powerful than, kings. They commanded armies, negotiated with foreign powers, and defended Kush's independence. Ancient writers were stunned by their authority, because in much of the ancient world, women rarely ruled. But in Kush, female power was part of the royal system itself. The Kandakes were more than symbols. They were warriors who fought against the greatest empire of their time, Rome. Kandake Amanirenas and the war against Rome. One of the most famous warrior queens was Kandake Amanirenas, who ruled during the 1st century BCE. When Rome conquered Egypt in 30 BCE, Emperor Augustus expected Kush to fall in line. But Amanirenas had other plans. Leading her army, She marched north and struck Roman-held cities, capturing prisoners and even seizing statues of Augustus himself. Roman historians described her as a fierce, one-eyed queen who terrified her enemies. When Rome retaliated, Kush's warriors fought back with courage and resilience. Despite Rome's vast armies, the Kushites refused to be broken. The war ended not in Kush's defeat, but in a negotiated peace treaty, one so favorable that historians still marvel at it. Unlike other kingdoms crushed under Rome's heel, Kush maintained its independence for centuries, and it was a warrior queen who made it possible. Other legendary Kandake's Amanirenas wasn't the only powerful queen of Kush. Others left their mark as well. Kandake Amanishaketo. Remembered for her wealth, she left behind treasures of gold, jewelry, and art so stunning that archaeologists still marvel at them today. Kandake Amanitore. Known for her building projects, she expanded temples, pyramids, and cities, showing that Kushite queens were patrons of both war and culture. Through these queens, the kingdom of Kush showed the world something revolutionary, that power could rest in the hands of women, not just as caretakers, but as rulers of nations and defenders of sovereignty. The culture of Kush beyond battles and rulers, the kingdom of Kush developed a rich culture. They worshipped a blend of Egyptian and Nubian gods, with Amun becoming especially central. Their art, clothing, and architecture blended influences but developed unique styles: steeper pyramids, intricate jewelry, and powerful sculptures. The Kushites also developed their own writing system, the Meroitic script, one of the oldest written languages in Africa. Though it is still only partially deciphered today, it reminds us of a civilization with its own voice, its own identity, and its own intellectual traditions. The decline of Kush. No empire lasts forever. By the 4th century CE, Kush began to decline. Changing trade routes weakened its wealth. Environmental challenges strained resources, and the rise of new powers eroded its influence. Finally, around 350 CE, the kingdom of Aksum from modern-day Ethiopia invaded and brought Kush's dominance to an end. But though Kush fell, its legacy never disappeared. Its pyramids still rise from the desert, its queens are still remembered as warrior leaders, and its history remains proof that Africa's civilization stood tall among the world's greatest. The legacy of Kush and its warrior queens. The story of Kush and its Kandakes matters today because it challenges the lies history has told for centuries. Too often, Africa's past has been painted as a story of weakness, waiting to be discovered by outsiders. But the truth is clear. Kush was powerful, advanced, and sovereign. Its queens led armies, built monuments, and defied empires. They proved that Africa was never a passive land of tribes waiting for colonizers, but a continent of kingdoms, leaders, and innovators who shaped history on their own terms. Closing the Nubian kingdom of Kush was more than Egypt's neighbor. It was a civilization that rose in the shadow of the pyramids and then built pyramids of its own. It was a kingdom where queens led armies, where gold flowed like rivers, and where independence was defended against the greatest empire of all, Rome. The warrior queens of Kush stand as legends of courage, leadership, and resilience. Their story is not just African history, it is world history, and it is a reminder that true power does not always follow the rules of men, but sometimes it wears the crown of a queen.